There is a part of all of us that longs to be seen. That's not ego, that's a primal urge to wish to contribute meaningfully to a team, collective, tribe. Take social media and the internet. Now there are possibilities to share in such ways on a global scale. We can transmit knowledge, even if that knowledge is resisting old systems, old ways of being. We can see so many examples of other ways of being human from across the world. We can be inspired by them or reject them. And in that way, the internet is a force of good. If we think back 30, 40 years ago, there were gatekeepers of knowledge back then, and you had to earn your place to get through the gates into a library and get your hands on a physical book information. Now it blooms across the screen. However, I've done a handful of videos over the past few months, and every time I've posted, there's just been this wave of reluctancy. Don't really want to do it, so there's resistance there, kind of a bit of negativity from my end. And it's not that I don't, I'm fearful of being seen. It's more that I don't wish to perform, join the circus. Because I don't agree with the algorithm's terms. I believe current algorithms across all the platforms are training humanity into training other humans to distill, compress, and distort the way humans express themselves. We're essentially training each other to devolve the human attention span. Flashy, fast cut, very short reels, posts, videos get promoted often. And maybe the ever slower ones don't. Do we know how to be slow anymore? I know mothers with 13-year-old boys who can no longer sit through a movie because their brains have essentially been trained to only be able to concentrate on one piece of content, which is 5 seconds long, 5 seconds long, 5 seconds long. And the best books, though, they often start slow. You have to stick with them a little bit. And the best art, it doesn't throw itself at you. But it reveals itself to the patient eye. Now, if you don't hook someone, within 1 second, you're gone, not seen, not heard, vanished. This isn't how humans are meant to share. It's a very misaligned way of communicating. Could you imagine our ancestors who used to storytell over the fire for hours? Imagine if we placed our current minds into that environment. No one would last 2 seconds. Wouldn't be able to sit still. said that they'll all be standing up saying, look at me, this is my brand, this is my brand, I'm going to sell this is my bag I'm trying to sell. And then someone would get up on an even taller log, start doing some weird dance to get even more attention, more eyes on them. And no one's listening to each other, and no one's listening to the slow wisdom and the stories that the elder is trying to say. Instead, it's just noise. And that's why I don't want to be a part of. That's why I've been reluctant. So I've realised that I've got to approach it in my way, like I do everything. I'm just not going to do what anyone else does. And not be tempted by this train. The algorithm is like a fast train, and you've got to fit into a box, a compartment, in order to be a passenger on it. But I'm not tempted because I don't want any followers. I think everyone should follow themselves. I don't want any clout. I understand why businesses and brands want to do it. Need to market themselves, get the word out. But that's not where I am coming from. It's not what I'm talking about. We're compromising ourselves on our message by making ourselves so fast and short. And not only that, we're doing it because we think those are the rules. We've been told those are the rules. That's what you've got to do if you want to succeed in the way that you see success. But an algorithm, yes, it's a set of codes, but really all it is a belief system that the collective is believing in. And essentially, it can be overridden by consciousness, it can be overridden by light, and we essentially can be our own algorithm. As long as we don't join in or believe in what the collective is always doing, what the collective is always saying is right. If we take a moment to think about like an artist, say Monet, imagine him at his canvas, paintbrush, just one stroke, and then he has 100 people behind him say they like that stroke. Do more like that. So he doesn't ever like it. But then another 1,000 people join in and they don't really like that stroke that much, so he second guesses himself, tries to do a different kind of stroke, and he listens to the crowd with every stroke, and he does what he thinks is going to get more likes. He's going to end up with a totally different painting than if he'd have just sat there by himself painting it without any questioning about whether people are going to like it or not. I bet, and we know it's true because it's popular now, I guess, that his painting, the one that wasn't distorted by a million opinions, is going to be the one that's most true. And think now about what many people are doing on social media, editing themselves, censoring themselves to try and ride some cyber superhighway to a place, a destination that they think will bring them happiness, We know that followers essentially now are the equivalent to how many cars people had in the 90s. It's a status symbol. Same as how much money people have. And we know that those who chase these assets, these external badges, who chase worth from other people, are the least fulfilled. Why do they need to do that? Why do they want to be followed or admired so badly? Because really, true worthiness only comes from within. And those who feel properly worthy in themselves don't want any followers. Now, if we look at a shaman can move his mind throughout different galaxies, has got arguably one of the most powerful minds on Earth, can swiftly dance through dimensions. He never remains in the centre of the village, shouting, "Follow me, listen to me." When was it that we all everyone became a life consultant, telling people how to live their lives? Shaman will never do that. A wise person will never do that. Instead, he's very hard to find, usually. He's on the periphery somewhere. You have to meet someone who knows someone else, who guides you down a path, and then you have to go down a maze and you take a few wrong turns. And eventually you find him, because if you're meant to find him, you will find him. If you're aligned on his frequency, the universe will give you no other option but to find him. And sometimes the corners or the dead ends are just a little test. How much do you want it? How much do you want to find it? But you will never find a wise man or shaman in the middle of a town shouting, follow me, using tricks to get people's attention on him. He stays out the way, and the right people find him, but not everyone wants to. And then you look at people who maybe have large followings, and it's not to judge them. Some of the messages are great and everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. But the question is, why do they want to be followed so badly? And why do the wisest who have ever been never want to be followed? They only say to people, follow yourself. So I want to think about how I post my videos differently. I just get irritated whenever I post them, just trying to fit the cover into the different size box on the different platforms. It's taking me I think it'd be really easy for other people, simple. For me, for some reason it wasn't. It's taking me 20 minutes to fit my cover in a box, and then my words, the title would be cut off somehow. I was why is it taking me 20 minutes? Why am I wasting my life 20 minutes to try and fit in some box? It's kind of symbolic, really, because I've never really fit into any box. So I just left it. Now, if the letters don't fit, they don't fit. Who cares? So I'm going to now do something every marketing manager would I can't think of the word. What would a marketing manager do? Scoff at? Is that the right word, term? I'm going to do something purposely really boring. I'm going to read a notoriously hard to get into novel passage from it. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to stop. But this is a training exercise for our brains to think, can I just stick with something even if this is boring? And think to ourselves, when it gets a bit boring, what do you desperately want to do? What do you want to go and scroll on your phone? Are you going to do something more worthwhile in your time? Or maybe you just listen. Maybe you don't. But I think there needs to be more of this. More of the slow. More of the opposite of the algorithm. Doing the opposite of what the algorithm wants humans to do. I think there's power in that. Who is John Galt? The light was ebbing, and Eddie Willis could not distinguish the bum's face. The bum had said it simply, without expression. But from the sunset far at the end of the street, yellow glints caught his eyes, and the eyes looked straight at Eddie Willis, mocking and still, as if the question had been addressed to the causeless uneasiness within him. "Why did you say that?" asked Eddie Willis, his voice tense. The bum leaned against the side of the doorway. A wedge of broken glass behind him reflected the metal yellow of the sky. "Why does it bother you?" he asked. "It doesn't," snapped Eddie Willis. He reached hastily into his pocket. The bum had stopped him and asked for a dime, then had gone on talking as if to kill that moment and postpone the problem of the next. Pleas for dimes were so frequent in the streets these days that it was not necessary to listen to explanations, and he had no desire to hear the details of this bum's particular despair. "Go get your cup of coffee," he said, handing the dime to the shadow that had no face. "Thank you, sir," said the voice without interest, and the face leaned forward for a moment. The face was wind-browned, cut by lines of weariness and cynical resignation. The eyes were intelligent. Eddie Willis walked on, wondering why he always felt it at this time of day, this sense of dread without reason. No, he thought, not dread. There's nothing to fear, just an immense, diffused apprehension with no source or object. He had become accustomed to the feeling, but he could find no explanation for it. Yet the bum had spoken as if he knew that Eddie felt it, as if he thought that one should feel it, and more, as if he knew the reason. Eddie Willis pulled his shoulders straight in conscientious self-discipline. He had to stop this, he thought. He was beginning to imagine things. Had he always felt it? He was 32 years old. He tried to think back. No, he hadn't. But he could not remember when it had started. The feeling came to him suddenly, at random intervals. And now it was coming more often than ever. It's the twilight, he thought. I hate the twilight. So that was from Atlas Shrugged. difficult to get into book. Wonder how many people now and in the future stuck with it. Don't need to comment if you did or not. Don't need to subscribe. Don't need to like.